finish at the end of the presentation, so pay attention. A wise man is walking along the beach and he sees a young girl dancing along the water's edge. As he gets closer, he realizes she's not dancing, but she's reaching over, picking up starfish and throwing them back into the sea. He says, "Why are you throwing starfish in the sea? Don't you know there are thousands of miles of shoreline? You can't possibly make a difference." So stay tuned. So first of all, one of the questions I want to answer for you is, what is the pound? It's the Oklahoma City Animal Shelter. It's run by the city of Oklahoma City. It's paid for by your tax dollars. They're what's called an open admission shelter, so they have to take any animal that comes to them. By contrast, the the Humane Society of Oklahoma City is a nonprofit animal organization. We don't have a shelter facility. All of our animals are in foster homes, so we're limited admission. We can only take as much as we have room for. We're nonprofit. We do not receive funding, nor are we a local chapter of either of these groups. They do not have local chapters. If you donate to us, your money stays right here in the community. If you donate to these guys, they're doing other good work, but not here locally. Okay, a little breather here. Maybe we're stuck. Okay, so if you're a stray animal and you get lost, what happens? A couple of things. You might come in as a stray, or you might come in as an owner surrender, someone who can't keep their pet. Strays have to be kept by law for 3 days for their owner to come reclaim them. Owner surrenders do not. So because there's limited space, they may be euthanized immediately. Very few animals make it home. About 75% of the dogs that come into the shelter have collars but no tags. 23% make it back home. Only 2% of cats actually make it back to their owners. So what can you do to make sure that your pet makes it home if it gets lost? Always wear a collar and tag. People say, "Oh, I keep a collar on him only when he's out, you know. Keep a collar and tag on all the time. You can also microchip your pet. You can even put a tattoo on your pet. I have flyers made and ready because my dogs love to dig out of the yard so that they're ready to put up in case I need to get out there. So some of this math that I was talking about, our live release rate is the number of animals that leave the shelter alive divided by the number of animals that come in. So here in Oklahoma City, I think my slide is a little bit messed up there, but we're right about at 50%. So what that means is that 50%, half of the animals that come into the shelter do not make it out alive. Half of them do. So that means we have a lot of work to do, but we're still much better than we were a few years ago, and things are getting better, so this is not all bad news here. And cue slide, okay. So I could fill some time here by talking about some other things. Most of the animals that are euthanized in our shelter are feral cats. And feral cats, it's really having a hard time there. There we go, there's some numbers. I'm gonna talk about feral cats here in a moment, but those are our numbers, yeah. So I can tell you too that the animals in the shelter are humanely euthanized. You may have heard that there's a gas chamber or some thing like that, but they are all humanely euthanized by injection. The shelter employees are not bad people. They're doing a job that they have to do because we are not doing a good enough job spaying and neutering our pets and getting our animals by adopting them instead of buying from breeders. So here's some myths about the shelter. They do not euthanize every pit bull that comes in. Pit bulls are part of the adoption program just like any other dog. Another myth is that if you find an animal, you shouldn't take it to the shelter because it's automatically going to be killed. That is not true. It's a lost and found. If you find an animal, take it there. That's where its owner is going to go to look for it. So if you find an animal, you can take it to the shelter. There were so many animals being tied up after the shelter at night that they even created a night drop with cages with little fuzzy blankets and water bowls. So any time of the day, you can take it there. Also, we only have 10 officers for the entire city of Oklahoma City. So unless there's a bite, cruelty, or something like that, the officer is not going to come out to your house. You're going to need to take the animal there. This is pretty much the worst thing that is unfortunately true about the shelter, is that all the bodies of the animals that are euthanized do go to the landfill. That's really hard for some of us to really think about, but it's true. And it matters because for every animal that we put down, it costs you taxpayers $110 for every animal. So there's a lot of money that we're spending, almost $1.5 million every year to kill animals. And if only 10% of the people who are going to get a dog this year chose to adopt instead of buy from a breeder or from a pet store, we could solve this problem. So what kind of animals are in the shelter? Well, you might be surprised. 25% of the dogs in the shelter are purebred dogs. We see so many dachshunds, boxers, chihuahuas, dogs that you might not think of as shelter dogs, but those are the dogs in our shelter. Also lots of feral cats, like I was saying. A stray cat used to be a pet. A feral cat is actually a wild cat that cannot be domesticated. These guys are in a really hard position because there's nothing that can be done with them. Many of these feral cats, though, are being saved because they're part of a TNR program. And this is when people who manage the colonies of feral cats trap them, they bring them in to be neutered and vaccinated, and then they release back to the wild. So what are we going to do to solve this problem? Because we are doing a lot of good things. We can adopt. We can all make sure that our pets are spayed and neutered. You can be a foster home. We desperately need foster homes. You can spread the word. All of you guys are on Twitter and Facebook and stuff. Tell people what's going on and make sure the truth is out there. We can all make a difference. So first of all, adopt. If you buy a puppy on a street corner, it comes from a puppy mill. If you buy a dog at a pet store, it comes from a puppy mill. Oklahoma supplies more dead and sick animals via the internet than any other state except Arkansas. We are a puppy mill problem here, so adopt your pets. Also, you gotta neuter them. You just gotta do it. The truth really is, they are just not as attached to them as you are, guys. It's the truth. We also need people to help. The amount of animals we can save is directly related to the amount of space we have to put them. So we need foster homes. If you've got any room or any inclination, fostering is so much fun and it's so rewarding. We need your help to do that. The end of that story is the little girl said, I know I can't save them all, but I made a difference for that one. And you can make a difference in the life of one or a few animals in this city. So make a difference right here in your community and save the animals here. Thank you very much.